Word life. This is basic thugonomics. Word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me.
You're listening to Keith Sports News. Hello. Yes. Hello, wrestling fans, to be exact. If you're familiar with that theme song, yes, that is John Cena's Doctor of Thugonomics theme song from over 20 years ago. So, since there is still not much sports news to talk about, I'm going to talk more about pro wrestling, mainly the John Cena heel turn. Okay? So, if you are into that, then keep on listening. If not, you're fired. That's my Vince McMahon impression. Yep. Okay. Welcome to KSN, episode 21, talking more about the John Cena heel turn. Why? Because that was a huge moment in the history of the WWE and probably the biggest moment in this century for pro wrestling. It's crazy that we're still unwrapping our minds into this story. So, before we start, I actually have a shirt that I want to show you. You know, the last episode I showed you my New World Order shirt? I actually have some wrestling shirts, okay? Because years ago, I was a big fan of the WWE, and that's why I got some shirts. Now I'm a fan of the old wrestling that I watch on a weekly basis. And this is before John Cena was in pro wrestling. That's right, I'm talking about the Monday Night Wars era between WWF at the time and WCW. The best era ever. The craziest era ever. Alright. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about John Cena. Okay? Hold on a second. Is my charger not charged up? Because I have my... Hold on. For some reason... That's weird. I thought my... I'm recording this on my laptop, and I thought it's charging. I guess it's not, so I'll be back in a little bit and see what the issue is. Alright guys, I'm back. Unfortunately, I'm having an issue with my laptop. For some reason, it's not charging, even though I plugged it in, tried a different AC or outlet. That didn't solve the problem, so I guess I need to get a new charger, and hopefully that'll solve the issue, because right now I recorded all of my KSN episodes on this laptop because it's easier. It's at 17%. So I better hurry up and get to talking. Alright. Well, this episode won't be as long as the last one. Last one was 45 minutes. This will be, I guess, the usual 30-minute mark. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So, this episode, talk more about pro wrestling, mainly John Cena. And I said that in the last episode I showed you my New World Order shirt. And I have some more wrestling shirts, mainly from 2017 to 2019, okay? Because back then I was a big fan of the product. Here's one of the shirts that I will show you. Alright. Okay. Here it is, if you're watching. This is actually the very first WWE shirt that I got. Okay, look at all these people on there. So this was in 2017. Alright. And on the back, it says I was there with all the dates of the events. So I went to a SmackDown live event, meaning a house show, meaning it wasn't on television. Okay? And I found the city, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's the city that I live in, the capital city of Louisiana. I went there on August 26, 2017. That was on a Saturday night. A house show. Alright? And that was also the very first WWE live event that I attended to. And this is how I got the shirt. I got it at their merchandise, whatever you call it. You buy it in person. I bought this. I would usually buy a shirt like this that has the dates on the back for like a band, a concert, because I've been to concerts as well. Alright, so yeah, 2017 was really the first year that I got into the WWE. And we're going to talk about that guy right there. Who is that guy? Yeah, I know. So, John Cena. WWE John Cena. In wrestling, not the person, okay? We might talk about the person, but mainly his WWE career. Alright? So, I know a lot of people that watch wrestling grew up watching wrestling. Not me. I never grew up watching it. I just didn't. I started watching it, I said in 2017. I was already a teenager. I was in high school. I just got into it somehow. Okay, so I might do a separate episode on how I got into the WWE. I really got into it. When did I stop watching it? Why did I stop watching it? I might save that for a future episode, but this episode's mainly about John Cena. So when I started getting into the product, John Cena was fading away, meaning we didn't see him on television every week. Okay, that was when he was in his prime. Okay, because he was the top guy for many years. All right, so when I started watching it in 2017, he was no longer the top guy. He was fading away. He was part-time, not showing up as much. He was getting into, I guess, the Hollywood business, okay? But he made some appearances from time to time, and I believe I watched the very first pay-per-view at the time. They call it pay-per-views because Peacock didn't exist. The first pay-per-view that I watched live was SummerSlam 2017. And the first match on I'm not counting the pre-show, I'm counting the actual event. The first match on the event itself was John Cena, a John Cena match. Okay? And when he came out, it's funny because I know the John Cena theme song before I got into wrestling. You know, ba 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I know. I already knew his theme song. It's funny because I think I saw a video of his theme song or just listening to the song itself. But I didn't know it was in wrestling. I thought it was in a TV show or a movie or something, like the theme song of the show. No, that's his own song. Yeah, that's actually his own song. He was rapping. It's a hip-hop type of song. He was, he did the lyrics. If you pay attention closely to his song, it's called, what is it called? My Time Is Up, or My Time Is Now, or something like that. Or the You Can't See Me. So yeah, when his theme song hit, oh, I already know who it is. And the crowd was cheering and booing. It's a mixture of cheering and booing. And like, when he came out, at first I didn't realize it, because this was my first time getting into the product. But I remember I rewatched the beginning of SummerSlam 2017 at a later time. Okay. and as soon as he came out, when you hear those horns, the ba 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 ba, the crowd was chanting, "John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks." At first I didn't realize that until I listened carefully to the crowd, and I'm like, wow. And this was when he was part-time. He wasn't the top guy anymore. And they would chant that. So, at first I'm like, why do a lot of people don't like this guy? Why do so many people don't like John Cena? Is this the John Cena... Because at the time I'm like, is this the John Cena character or the John Cena the person? Because the person and his character are the same name. You know how a lot of wrestlers, they don't go by their real name in wrestling? Well, he does, John Cena, and that's what makes some people very confused. Why don't you like John Cena? He's a great guy. He does the Make-A-Wish, all that stuff. And people are like, well, I'm talking about him in wrestling. And then they're going to say, well, that's what I'm talking about as well. The behind the scenes, And they're going to say, well, I don't care about the behind the scenes. I care about watching pro wrestling television, not the behind the scenes. That's what some people don't understand that. And it's funny because at first I didn't understand it as well, because I was a fan. I was a new fan of the product at the time. But the more I watched, over the years I watched a lot of older clips on their YouTube channel. Over the years they uploaded so many full matches, and I would watch a bunch of them. And quite a lot of them were John Cena matches, okay? I saw a match where it was SummerSlam 2014 where he got destroyed by Brock Lesnar. A one-sided beatdown, okay? And then it was like the COVID year. I started getting into this YouTuber named Tyrone Magnus. He mainly does reaction videos. He talks about, video games, movies, movie reviews, gaming. He's a big YouTuber. He just got over 2 million subscribers. And I gotta say, he is my favorite reaction YouTuber. And he has so many videos. He has like over 11,000 videos, which is insane for one guy, Every day he uploads multiple videos per day. Been doing it for over 13 years. Just as long as my main channel. My main channel just got over 2,000. This man, he has over 11,000. Oh my gosh. So I started watching his old videos. One of them was wrestling talk related, because he started his YouTube channel as a wrestling talk channel. Which reminds me, I've never mentioned this. This channel, Keith Sports News, used to be a wrestling talk channel as well. You might remember that, for those of you that have click on that subscribe button and that notification bell for the past 5 years. This channel used to be called The Old Wrestling Reactor. For some reason at the time, this was in 2019, I came up with an idea. I was into WWE at the time. I'm like, what if I just do a separate channel of me talking about old wrestling? And I did it for a while, but then I basically I uploaded less and less and less because, I'm more focused on my main channel, right? And I uploaded less and less and less, and I completely stopped. I lost the motivation. I just felt like there's just no need to talk about it. I rather listen to other people talk about old wrestling, and that's kind of what I've done for the past few or so years. I would watch these other people or listen to these other people talk about wrestling from the past, okay? People that were actually in the show, former wrestlers, former announcers, former writers that work for the company, okay? And I'm just a random dude that is a fan of the old wrestling, which I am still to this day. I would watch one of the old shows on a weekly basis. Once in a while, I'll miss a few episodes from there and there, but I would mainly watch the old pay-per-views at the time, okay? So then I decided to completely stop because hardly anyone was watching them anyways. What's the point? So I decided to finally change this channel to a sports talk channel, which I find more interesting because 2024 was like the first year well, technically it's not the first year, but it's really the first year where almost every day I would listen to sports talk shows. And that's what led me to change this channel name to Keith Sports News, which I am at right now. I said I would do 2 episodes per week, although I missed 1 week, but other than that, Mondays, Fridays, once in a while a Tuesday episode, and I think it's working out so far. My plan is to do this KSN episodes for a whole year. So I started mid-December. Here we are, almost 3 months later. I'm planning to do this for the rest of the year, and by the time we get to mid-December, I'll see if I still want to do another year. Okay. But yeah, there you go. This channel used to be a wrestling talk channel, mainly the old wrestling. Although from time to time I did talk about the new wrestling because I was still a partial fan, I guess you can say, at the time. Anyways, back to Tyrone Magnus. His YouTube channel used to be, or it started off as a wrestling talk channel. He was a big fan of the WWE at the time. But then over the years, he got sick of the product, mainly because of John Cena. Because John Cena was the top guy. They kept pushing him, shoving down our throats, as they would say. And I know a lot of people like him, mainly the women and children. Okay? Because the women, they like him because he's good looking. And the children like him because he's like the Superman of the WWE. Then you got the grown men that probably used to be a John Cena fan when he first started, but then as the years go by, he started to get heavily pushed, and they started booing him. And Tyrone Magnus, he has done some videos of him talking trash about John Cena, the character. Remember, this is the John Cena the wrestler, not the John Cena the human. Okay? And man, he would do like some rant videos, and I find them funny because I completely agree with him. So yeah, Tyrone used to be a John Cena fan until he got pushed even more and more and more, shoved down their throats. He keeps winning the big championships instead of pushing the other stars. Maybe once in a while, you'll push this one guy, but then eventually John Cena takes his spot. You know? It's ridiculous, and I agree. So, I don't hate John Cena, the wrestler. See, when he was in his prime, from like, because I read about this man on Wikipedia, the evolution. He was in his prime from like 2005 to like 2015. He was like the top guy for 10 years straight, at least, which is crazy. Over the years, he gets booed even more and more and more because the crowd, the grown men, are sick of him. They want a change. They want him to turn heel, for example, right? So, when John Cena finally turned heel, people are happy about that, but there's also people that are saying, this should have happened 10 to 15 years ago. What would have happened 10 to 15 years ago if he did this heel turn? You know, speaking of heel turn, this one night, I think it was the night after WrestleMania 29 in 2013 when he won the championship again, he was like trolling the crowd. And he was like, hey guys, how about a little heel turn? But he was turning his heel, you know, like his foot. Oh my gosh, he was really trolling the crowd. Oh gosh, that actually made me laugh. But yeah, back when Cena was in his prime, I was not a fan of the WWE. I didn't really know anything about pro wrestling back then until I somehow started watching it in 2017. Then I got into it. I was into the storylines. I was into the actual shows and matches of the certain guys that you would see on there. And then over the years, the product changes. It's not going to be the same forever. That's why you have different eras. And that's why this current era that I'm watching on a weekly basis, I really find it entertaining. Even though that was before I was alive. But it is what it is. It's the same thing with, I love listening to old rock and roll music. A lot of old rock songs are before I was alive. But I love it. Some people, one of my brothers, he loves watching the show Seinfeld. You know, great show, even though it's an old show now, but people still watch that show to this day. Same with The Office. Okay? And some people, I bet you, there's a lot of people that watch old wrestling on Peacock. You can pick a certain year and watch that full year. That's what I did. I started watching old wrestling full time in September of 2022. I started watching September of 1995, which was the very first episode of WCW Monday Nitro. Okay? So fast forward to 2025, 2.5 years later, what year am I on? 1998. I'm locked in. Okay? So, and this was before John Cena was in wrestling. Alright, he was in the era after that. So John Cena, he made his debut in 2002. I saw the video. You can look it up on YouTube. WWE's YouTube channel. You can find almost anything on there at this point, mainly highlights. So he came out, and his very first match was against one of the top guys at the time, Kurt Angle. And, you know, he was so young at the time, obviously. He was the new guy. And basically, people liked him for a while. But then as the months go by, people started not to care about Cena. I once saw a documentary on Peacock called Ruthless Aggression, John Cena, or Enter John Cena. Really good episode. This is basically how he started. And then he made a change. Different character called the Doctor of Thugonomics, which is basically a heel character. of him talking trash. That's funny. So he was the doctor of thugonomics. And this is before you hear the ba 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 theme song. Okay. But then he had that for a few years. Then a few years later, like 2005, 2006, he decided to change. No more thugonomics. Because he sees children in the crowd that are big fans of him. And he decided, well, since I'm the top guy now, I'm going to change. I'm giving up thugonomics. I'm going to just be the good guy now. Like Hulk Hogan 2.0. You know, Hulk Hogan at the time, in the old days, he was the good guy. So John Cena was the good guy in the ruthless aggression era. So he was in his prime. And over the years, the crowd is starting to boo him because they realize, wait a minute, this isn't the John Cena that I first started watching. This isn't the same John Cena that I used to like. Man, his wrestling character is getting stale. His wrestling character sucks. It's the same old, same old crap. And it was basically like that for the next 10 years. Oh, gosh. And that's why he should have turned heel 10 to 15 years ago. He actually wanted to. John Cena, I saw a video, he actually wanted to turn heel, but he was going to make a new rap song, new attire, but then Vince McMahon, the guy who used to run the product at the time, he says, nope, you're not doing that. I'm afraid that, at the time, because at the time he was the top guy. He had a lot of merchandise. A lot of the women and children would buy his merch. You know what I'm saying? So, but he really could have done it. He really could have done it at the time. Hulk Hogan did it. Although Vince McMahon, he didn't want Hulk Hogan to turn heel. He never wanted Hulk to turn heel. But when Hulk was in WCW, that was Eric Bischoff's product. He turned heel on WCW instead of WWF. And what happened after he turned heel? Man, watch that video. It was on July 7, 1996 when he turned heel. And that was the beginning of the New World Order era. Okay? And over the years, he got even more popular. More people liked him. Everyone liked him. Just about. So, if it worked out, why couldn't John Cena turn heel when he was in his prime? For some reason, Vince McMahon was afraid that he was gonna get like a lot of backlash. Speaking of backlash, that used to be a pay-per-view. Yeah, Backlash. So, the fact that even though he finally turned heel, that shows you that Vince McMahon is no longer running the product. I believe Vince's last year was in 2022. 2023, he was not seen on television. We're in 2025 now. So yeah, Vince McMahon is the reason why John Cena didn't turn heel 10 to 15 years ago. And yeah. So, but the fact, I know people are saying this happened way too late, this heel turn, where he's a bad guy now. But the fact that it actually happened was crazy. I am now more intrigued. I haven't been this intrigued in years in today's WWE, only because of that heel turn. Without that heel turn, I don't know what to say. Without that heel turn, I wouldn't be talking about this. I would be talking about something completely different in this episode. So, I'm glad. I am glad he turned heel. It was about time. And people are saying, oh, he's going to show up on Monday Night Raw. He actually didn't. He didn't even show up. Will he show up tonight on Friday Night SmackDown? Or what if he doesn't show up at all until his WrestleMania match? Man, that would be pretty crazy. He decides not to show up until WrestleMania because he's already going to be in a match against Cody Rhodes, who Cody Rhodes is the top guy because he's been the champion since last year's WrestleMania. I will watch that. The good thing is I don't have to watch it live. I just can't look on social media and YouTube. Sometimes that's not easy. But if I accidentally saw something, John Cena wins his 17th championship, I'm not going to get upset. I'll be like, oh, okay, well, let's watch the match, even though I already know who won. Because, I'm not a huge fan of today's product, but I am kind of a fan because I said earlier, I'm more intrigued in the product now, only because of the John Cena heel turn. Alright? So yeah, I mentioned in the last episode that after that heel turn, he needs to be something completely different. He needs to wear something completely different. No more jean shorts, no more colorful shirts, no more colorful hats. He needs to wear something completely different. Don't wear those white shoes. Like, what the heck, What if he wears a suit? Corporate Cena. I'm sure a lot of you have seen John Cena wear a suit, but that was only outside of wrestling. I wouldn't mind if he does that. Now, obviously, when he's wrestling, you can't wrestle in a suit. You got to wear something else. There was a time where, he usually wears the jean shorts in the ring. But there was a time where he didn't wear the jean shorts. He wore black shorts. A few times he wore camouflage shorts. And for a while he wore cargo shorts. So if it can go back to one of those three shorts, he would look so much better. And don't wear those white shoes. He used to wear those black Reeboks. If he can bring those back, that would be cool. Or just regular black boots or sneakers, something like that. All right. He needs to have a different theme song. He can't have the, your time is up, my time is now theme song. He can go back to Thugonomics if he wants to, or have no music, or only come out with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's entrance. Yeah. I think he needs to do that because it fits his character. And what if he doesn't say a single word? He's not going to say anything until he wins championship number 17. That might happen. And this is his retirement year. This is his last year. After that heel turn, I hope he doesn't retire. I hope he stays for another year. If he's going to be a heel for the rest of the year, which he should, you should, if he turns heel now, you better stay as a heel for a while. He better. And it's weird because as much as I wanted him to turn heel, which he did, I hope he wins at WrestleMania. Meaning, I hope he beats Cody Rhodes. And unfortunately, I have to say this, I hope he wins championship number 17. And I say that because he's tied with Ric Flair, 16 world championships. I don't want him to break Ric Flair's record, but I'm afraid he will. But I'm glad he's going to break, if he is going to break the record, he's going to break the record as a heel. Because if he were to break his record as a babyface, I would actually be pretty upset about that. I would be pretty upset. There's another guy. Oh, yeah. The past couple of days, I listened to 3 shows. 2 of them on YouTube. Rosenberg Wrestling with Peter Rosenberg. It's called Cheap Heat. I used to listen to his podcast because back then it was on the ESPN app, but then one year he decided to not have it on ESPN app anymore. He changed it to, I think, Spotify, but I don't have Spotify, so I decided not to get it. So I stopped listening to his show. But then he finally came back last year. After that John Cena heel turn, I am back listening to the Cheap Heat podcast with Peter Rosenberg. A second show on YouTube called Not Sam Wrestling. His name is Sam Roberts. He's really good friends with Peter Rosenberg. I listened to his take, and he basically said kind of what I said. He needs to wear a different outfit, different gear, different attire, different theme song, different entrance, all that. And then, the number 1 wrestling talk show podcast is Busted Open with Dave LaGreca on SiriusXM. Now for Dave's perspective, he's a big Cody Rhodes fan. So he's going to cheer for Cody. Not only because he's a Cody Rhodes fan, but he also doesn't want John Cena to break Ric Flair's title record. See, man, think about it. John Cena, he wins 16 world championships in a span of what? He won his first one in 2005. He won his 16th in 2017. You know? Because, for 10 years straight, he was getting shoved down our throats. When he won championship title number 16, his title reign didn't last too long. It only lasted like a month. Yeah, he won championship number 16 at the 2017 Royal Rumble, and then he lost it at the 2017 Elimination Chamber. I actually saw that match. It would have been better if he was a heel back then, where he wins championship number 16, tying Ric Flair's record, and he would talk trash on Ric Flair's legacy. But that was in 2017. Vince McMahon was still running the product. But, See, Ric Flair, people say Ric Flair is really a 20-time champion. But for some reason, WWE only counts 16. Now, from Ric Flair's perspective, he says he doesn't mind if John Cena breaks his record. That's nice of him. Let me tell you this. If John Cena breaks his record, which I think he will, then Randy Orton should also break the record as well. Yeah, there's a wrestler named Randy Orton who's been around just as long as John Cena. They both debuted in 2002. Randy Orton just came back. He looks the same. He looks fantastic for his age. So if Cena breaks Ric Flair's title record, then I think Randy Orton should also break the record as well. Because John Cena and Randy Orton, they had a lot of matches against each other. And I feel like John Cena's very last match should be against Randy Orton. But I hope he doesn't retire at the end of this year, because he's a heel right now. he better stay as a heel for a while. You know, look at Roman Reigns. 10 years ago, he was getting booed out of the building because they called him John Cena 2.0, you know? So, yeah. But then, he finally changed, and he became a heel. And he stayed as a heel for years. I don't know if Cena wants to keep doing this until the age of 50. Cena's going to turn 48. So, yeah. Alright, guys. My laptop battery is very, very low. And unfortunately, my charger isn't working, so I'm going to have to end this. But this episode, I did say this episode wouldn't be as long, but that was a lie. So I do apologize. But if you listened to all this, thank you so much. Will John Cena show up tonight? Part of me thinks he won't. If he didn't show up on Monday night, why would he show up on SmackDown, you know? He may not show up at all until WrestleMania 41, which is in Las Vegas, April 19 and April 20th. Yeah, it's now a 2-night event. It's been like that for years. I'll do a separate episode of me talking about all the WrestleManias that I watched, just like all the Super Bowls that I watched live. Yeah. Alright, guys. That's it. And word life. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.
I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me.